Welcome to the Breakthrough Podcast. Today I have a really good friend on the podcast. His name is Max Tornow, and he's been a world-class public speaker. He's the #1 dating coach in the world, and now I have him on my podcast. And the reason is I've never met someone as similar as him, to me as him. His mindset, his experience growing up, how he's built it all. So you're going to see a candid conversation. I think our conversations are probably some of the most interesting conversations in the world. And what you're going to get out of this is, number one, insane insights on how to be way more confident. And two, you're going to really learn how we've both built a multi-million dollar consulting coaching business, which, by the way, never happens. And on top of that, the skills we use to help people change their lives. So without further ado, welcome to the podcast, bro.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah.
Deja vu from last time when I had you on my podcast on this table. And that was one of the best podcasts I've ever done.
Well, it was 3.5 hours of probably the best conversations ever. So I want to continue a conversation we had just to get this going.
Yeah, let's
we both love history. You're Austrian, my dad's Austrian-Hungarian, and what I want to get into is we're talking about history. I think history repeats itself. Yeah. And you were talking about the only reason that, your opinion, that the Nazis started to lose the war was because they couldn't produce what?
They couldn't produce their meth.
Yeah, enough
They literally got meth. I forgot the fucking name of it. What was it? I'll remember the name later. Okay, so what happened was there was this chemist in Germany, and he was very much focused on climbing the social ladder, making money, and so on and so forth. And then he finds a way to create meth, what we call now meth. But back then, there was no such thing as regulations. They didn't understand drugs. There was no opium crisis, nothing. That all happened after World War II. So he discovers this compound, and he starts selling it, and they would just sell it as a natural, super harmless substance that you could buy. Anybody could buy that. You could send your child to the pharmacy and say, go buy some of that, and it's literally meth. It's amphetamines. And what would happen is people would use it, and they're like, wow, this is great. First of all, I'm euphoric. I'm super duper fucking happy. And second of all, I'm super productive. Right? This whole idea about Germans being super productive, super hardworking, it came from that because during World War II, they started becoming really fucking productive. And it was just before World War II started picking up, just before the Germans invaded France. So the German populace was already hooked on fucking meth like crazy, literally. And then what happened was Hitler basically went to his general staff and said, okay, we need a plan to invade France. The problem with invading France was the so-called marginal line, which was the best defended defensive line in the world back then. There was a bunch of bunkers, it was through the Ardennes forest. You couldn't get in there, it was impenetrable, right? And that was the whole idea behind France. So as tensions started to rise between France and Germany, France was like, we're gonna be fine because we got the marginal line, we'll be chill, all good. And then Hitler's general staff came up with an idea that said, okay, we can, quote unquote, circumvent / break through that marginal line if we go in through the north, but the only way to really make that happen is unrealistic because we'd have to drive 3 days and nights with our tanks through that. And we could not stop because once they stopped, they could get the reinforcements and then it would collapse onto us. So we basically take our panzer divisions and we just go through the fucking defensive line 3 days and 3 nights. But no soldier can do that. No regiment can do that. Soldiers need rest, especially tanks. So they were at a ceiling. They got a ceiling. They didn't know what to do. And then this chemist guy comes up. His name was Theo Morel. Morel was his last name. And he said, well, guys, I got this thing. It's known to make people really happy. And it's known to people don't need fucking sleep. They can work. Why don't we just fucking pump our soldiers through that shit and just have them drive through for 3 days and 3 nights until they're at the sea, the channel, right? Dunkirk, we all know this great Christopher Nolan movie, and just have them fucking drive through for 3 days and nights. Will literally overroll the French defenses. And that's how the idea of blitzkrieg was born, through that. So the only reason why Germany could pull it off in the first place was because their entire fucking attacking army was high on meth the entire fucking time. And funny enough, they distribute that to all the soldiers, right? They had this thing called Panzerschokolade, which literally means tank chocolate. And that was just chocolate laced with methamphetamine. Fucking funny. And they would just be fucking eating that. So they're telling their soldiers, go eat the shit and you'll just be doing a great job and we're going to blitzkrieg through France. And coincidentally, what France gave their soldiers was wine. which is the complete fucking opposite effect. It makes you drowsy, makes you fucking tired, makes you fucking sleepy. So they were all like entitled for like half a bottle of wine per day or something like that, which is good for morale. It's healthy, blah, it keeps you warm in the winter, yada yada. So that's what the French soldiers.
It keeps you relaxed.
Exactly. That's what the French soldiers were all fucking relaxed and sleepy, while the fucking Blitzkrieg German army was fucking high on methamphetamine, and they fucking drove through that. Now here's the crazy thing: Hitler was always very much a health person. He was like one of those fucking, you know that Brian, is it Brian Johnson?
Yeah, Brian Johnson, yeah.
He's basically back then Brian Johnson, obsessed with...
I met him at Jake Paul's after party.
I love it, man. Hitler was obsessed with like health and fucking, biohacking, so to speak, although that term didn't exist back then. And he was a vegetarian too because of that reason. And then his personal fucking doctor became that guy. And then that guy basically said, well, Hitler, I'm gonna start giving you supplements, right? And he had like it was complete quack science, right? He would give him supplements of like fucking like vitamins that they would give like cows and kind of bulls and shit like that. And that, of course, didn't do shit until he started lacing it with fucking cocaine and methamphetamines. So, of course, Hitler gets the shit intravenously. The supplements, starts feeling fucking fantastic because he's coked up. He gets all these crazy fucking ideas of like, yeah, we're gonna fucking invade Russia next, and then we're gonna bomb the UK, and then we're gonna make a fucking US bomber. They were working on a bomber that could actually fly the distance across the Atlantic Ocean and start bombing the east coast of the US. And there's also, by the way, side note, historians that say if that it's called America bomber, they called it the America bomber. If that America bomber would have actually been able to be mass produced, they might have actually won the fucking war, because they could have bombed the US before the US weapons industry would have ramped up fully. It's really fucking crazy. Anyways, so the German soldiers are hooked up on meth. German people are hooked up on fucking meth. Hitler himself is on fucking meth and cocaine and whatnot because of his doctor that gives him supplements. I'm doing quotation marks for people who are only listening. And of course, Hitler becomes fucking lunatic from that. And there's this great, and the best thing about all this, why we know this, is because his doctor, like any good German fucking Nazi back then, would write diary every single day. He would write down exactly what Hitler got, every single injection, to the fucking milligram. We have this document. This is not a theory or anything. They found that. Right, the guy who wrote this book that I read this from, it's called Blitzed, great book. The guy was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Read the book, it is an audiobook, extremely interesting. And the guy who wrote this book he knows all this because he actually got hands on the diary from Hitler's personal doctor. So he knows exactly on what day, what month, what year Hitler got what kind of supplements, aka drugs and cocaine. And again, we're all like, oh, cocaine, what the fuck, this is weird. We didn't know that back then, that cocaine is a drug. We had no idea. It was all new, right? And then the problem is Hitler starts getting fucking lunatic, and then Mussolini wanted to opt out of the war, right? He wanted to pull out because Mussolini was allied with the Germans. The Italians and the Germans were fighting side by side. And Mussolini wanted to get out. He's like, yo, this shit's getting too hot. My army can't fight as well. And then Hitler had been fucking traveling already. He'd been fucking doing speeches left. I mean, look at his fucking speeches. He's fucking methed up on most of these fucking speeches. That's why he's so fucking crazy. And then he's like, okay, fuck, I can't get Italy to move out of my fucking war. I need them. So he just takes a fucking train down to Italy to speak to Mussolini. And in the diary of his doctor, it literally describes, yeah, Hitler was like super burnt out, tired from the 3-day train, all super crazy. So, and just before he started to talk to Mussolini, he demanded he get his little supplement shot, you know? So he shoots him up with like extra hardcore cocaine. And then it literally says like, Hitler's mood like started changing immediately, and then he demanded another dose. So he's like, I want another dose, give me more of that good shit. So he gives him a double dose. Hitler then storms into Mussolini's office, and eyewitnesses that were there, they said Hitler basically just started talking to Mussolini for 3.5 hours, just spoke to him, screamed at him, fucking argued, and Mussolini couldn't even get a single word in. It was just coked up fucking Hitler going fucking ham on Mussolini, and after 3.5 hours, the Italians did not pull out of the war. And the reason why the German Reich eventually collapsed because Hitler became more and more insane because he got withdrawn. As Germany got bombed and invaded from both sides, in the east by the Russians, on the west by the Allied forces, all the supply chains for all the chemicals that were needed for Hitler's daily drug cocktail were interrupted. So you could see it in the diary, like towards the end when he was in his Führer bunker, you never really know, but one of the logical reasons that were a contributing factor to Hitler committing suicide was not only that, he lost the war, but also because he was fucking getting withdrawal symptoms like crazy, because he'd been taking drugs every day for years at that point, and he couldn't get any more drugs. His doctor couldn't get him anything. There was nothing more left. So he just opted out.
It's funny. Everything you're saying, people don't know history. Germany took France in a week. In 1 week, they took over this supposed superpower at the time, right?
Yep.
France was a massive superpower. In 1 week, they took all of France. And then everything leading up to, I think, Germany's demise had to do with his decisions slowly becoming unstrategic, right? Cocaine and meth and all these amphetamines, what else do? They give you a false sense of confidence, delusional confidence. It's called an optimism bias. Now, some people in business have the same thing. So notice a lot of entrepreneurs, they start doing drugs like cocaine, right? I have a lot of clients, they come to me, they're like, bro, I'm about to lose it all because I'm quite literally doing cocaine. I think I accidentally pressed the music. Yeah. Anyways, they're delusionally doing drugs, like all these cocaine, and then suddenly their companies, they start making bad decisions. They go spend exuberant amount of money. They buy the cars. They spend money on the houses, but they're not looking ahead. They're just like, things are fine. Everything's great. Give me my drugs. And at the beginning, they get rewarded. They're feeling more energy. They're more focused. They're making more money, more sales. They see it as a good thing. What happens is, though, they still have a balance of natural neurotransmitters in their brain. Over time, they do too much. And then their brain stops producing this naturally and starts to obviously rely on the drug. So you become heavily addicted. And now they're relying and associating the drug to success and wealth. But when you don't have any homeostasis, now you have to literally be a walking pharmacy to have any homeostasis in your brain. And it's not stable. It's either you're really high or you're really down. There's no in between. And maybe on the few moments of the in-between where you have some sense of rationality, it's not enough time to solve all your business problems. And that's why a lot of these people lose money, or they go out of business completely and they lose it all. And then they do even harder drugs, sober up, come back, do the same pattern again. That's what happened to Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to most of these guys. They start making irrational decisions, thinking they can get away with stuff. Right? Wolf of Wall Street wasn't doing dirty stuff at the beginning. He started to, when he started doing all these drugs, he got delusional confidence. Oh, I'm on top of the world, I could do whatever I want. And that's a massive thing, besides the fact that drugs destroy your brain. So Hitler, super intelligent. People, I'm Jewish. My family was massacred in the Holocaust. But what oftentimes we don't reflect on is how intelligent this psychopath was. He's a massively intelligent person. But because of their lack of education at the time, like you said, it's crazy to look at it through the lens of someone's mindset. Yeah. What if you could look at someone's mindset and emotions and realize that that is a massive reason you either win or lose a war? And there are three things that control someone's emotions, which I haven't talked to you about, but a lot of people on my following know this. There are three things. There's your focus, there's your physiology, and there's your self-talk. So your focus is, what am I paying attention to? I focus on the right things, the wrong things, making money, losing money, winning the war, not winning the war. Physiology is my rest, what I put in my body, my health. If you're sick, you're not thinking clearly. If you're hungry, you're not thinking clearly. When do most sales happen? They happen when people are starving. When you go to the grocery store and you're hungry, you spend more money because you're hungry. So physiology. And then there's self-talk. Now, what people don't realize is the physiology is obviously massively changed when you put drugs in your body. And that changes your state. So if you were to summarize the entire German rise and demise, it comes down to Hitler as at the top of this, his state, his ability to influence the rest of the German people's state. And then they start going into a negative state, a frantic, stressed out, anxious state because he's going through withdrawals, and then the demise. And some might argue the demise came because of, obviously there's many, many variables that happened in World War II, but if you were thinking about how powerful Germany was and the head start they had, they could have very strategically actually won the war.
Absolutely.
They could have very strategically, massive chance to do it. But there were a lot of decisions and mistakes they made, not at the beginning of the war, but towards the middle and the end.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually Operation Barbarossa, where they tried to capture Moscow, which was strategically complete lunacy. It made zero sense. Hitler was afraid of having to fight a two-front war, but he did it anyways because he was coked up, fucking lunatic, and so was his general staff. Hermann Goering, the Luftwaffe commander, he was fucking lunatic. He was on all kinds of shit all the time. So the whole general staff.
The Holocaust too.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about the death camps. Death camps didn't start till later in the war. He didn't like Jews, but initially he was just deporting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it became massive, hey, we're gonna literally create an Aryan race.
Yeah.
We're gonna have perfect people.
Complete lunatic. It's literally, if you listen to it like this, I'm like, are you high?
It's psychosis.
Literally psychosis.
He went into a psychosis, and people don't realize, like, they're just thinking about a psychopath. He wasn't a psychopath to begin with. He hated Jews for sure, but he was using the narrative, and you could see how quickly just the drugs changed the narrative. Now people are like, oh, drugs are just fun. No, it's okay. But they don't realize, hey, it starts off that way, and then you're a lunatic. You know, something I'll vulnerably share with you. I had a girl I was madly in love with. I broke up with her, thinking deep down, even though I'm walking away, this isn't good for me. Deep down, I'm like, maybe she'll feel what it's like to not be with me, having lost me, and she'll shape up her behavior. No. She goes to drugs and just loses her mind. She's still a drug addict. She had everything on a silver platter. She was the most famous model in her country. She literally was blowing up, making money, deal left and right, everything. She could have taken care of her parents. She could have had everything handed to her. She could have been my wife, right?
Yeah.
Throws it all away with the drugs. And the whole point being is, like, people do that as an escape. So I really think personal development is at the root. When you're going through something tough, or you don't have energy or any of that, you gotta not rely on the drug. You gotta rely on the actual knowledge. You know, I mean, what would you say? Because it is super fascinating to me. What would you say the greatest attributes are in a human being when you find massive success? And what are the moments where you see that turning point? You know, people talk about the turning point from when they went from broke to something. What about the turning point when they go from everything to nothing?
Yeah. It's all about dopamine. Where have you trained your body to receive dopamine from? And we've talked about this ad nauseum over the weekend that we've been spending here together. That sounded way gayer than I thought. We spent a weekend. What you and I are getting high off, literally, is creating awesome shit for our clients, creating awesome content for our businesses, public speaking, eating clean, having ideas, bouncing ideas back and forth, creating new structures for our business, motivating our sales team. We've literally, quote unquote, brainwashed ourselves to gain dopamine from things that in this modern world bring us success, right? To bring us a modern idea of success. I get dopamine when I hit the gym. Do I want to go to the gym? No, my body wants to eat fucking pizza and ice cream and lay on bed all day. But I go to the gym and it literally triggers dopamine in my brain. So I've kind of made myself wickedly addicted to doing things that are productive, that are good. We humans, we're addiction machines. We can become addicted to anything. There's people addicted to sex, gambling, violence, video games, drugs, alcohol, sugar. It's super easy for us to get addicted, but the secret is it's super easy for us to get addicted to anything. So if you are able to deploy a little bit of patience, long-term thinking, and discipline to hook yourself on the right things, next thing you know, you're addicted to doing sales calls. You're addicted to getting closes. You're addicted to hiring good staff. You're addicted to managing your staff. You're addicted to creating content. You're addicted to thinking about how to create more viral content, right? What I do with my clients on a constant basis, I did it earlier today, is teaching them how to go viral, having them use the power of AI, which makes ideation, viral, everything super easy. It makes it way, way easier. But people still need to be, quote unquote, addicted to doing the right things. So I was always addicted to video games for the longest time. And then there was a period of my life where I didn't play video games for like 3 or 4 years because I realized that real life kind of feels like a video game. It was exactly the same process. There's a grind phase, then there's a, I put it in, if you ever play Diablo 2, it's basically like you click on monsters and with every click you hit the monster, and then when you click enough times the monster dies, you get loot, you get experience, you can use these experience points to level up your character, gain new abilities, and so on and so forth. It's a grind phase, right? You grind until you level up.
And that, by the way, break that down. Every time you hit the monster and you click, reward. Classically conditioning you just to keep going.
Exactly. There's like noises, there's like shit that pops up on the screen every time you hit it, right? There's like a visual cue, an auditive cue, and so on and so forth. And it's exactly the same with the business. You have the grind phase as well. And then what happens is you grind so much that you're like, okay, I see the patterns in some things. Well, what if I, instead of just clicking all the time, like I find a pattern and create a structure so I only have to click once and it automatically clicks 10 times for me. It's exactly the same with business, right? Like, hey, instead of like having to post over and over again. Why don't I just write a custom GPT that writes the posts for me based on a certain criteria that I give it, right? So you start structuring and automating processes. And it's exactly the same with business. And long story short, what happened to me was I realized, hold on a second, that was about the time when I made 20K a month-ish with my very first business, the dating advice coaching business. I'm like, wow, this feels so much like fucking video games. I did the grinding, now I'm automating, and instead of getting like experience points, I get real life experience. And instead of cracking high scores, I get fucking real points, money. And then with that fucking money, I can actually do real things, right? I can send my mom on vacation, I can send my dad on vacation, I can buy nice things for my girlfriend. And then I got hooked to that, and that's where I realized, just like I was hooked to video games, I just now got myself hooked on the right thing that enables me to build fucking generational wealth, which is fantastic. So to answer your question, long form thinking, think ahead of time, get yourself addicted to good things, and make it so that your dopamine spikes happen from eating clean, from getting enough sleep, from having positive relationships, positive interactions, treating your body well, treating your mind well, and being focused on a grander goal that you can just continue to push. And I'm not saying you should do everything just to make money or just to reach your goal. When you're actually creating that dopamine spike properly, that environment where you get dopamine spikes from doing the good things, that is where you do so-called enjoying of the process. Everybody talks about you enjoy the fucking process. How do you do that? By training yourself to get dopamine from being in the process. You get even more dopamine when you hit that goal, but even if the goal is 3, 4, 5 years away, you still get dopamine spikes just from doing it and moving towards that goal.
It's funny, you can even get unaddicted to something, right? In the same way you can get addicted very quickly, you can get unaddicted. I mean, you saw at the seminar, this girl's like, I'm vaping.
Yeah, that was so good, by the way.
And
are you gonna upload that on YouTube? You should.
We honestly should. And then also with the Navy SEAL, right? When he was there and just getting rid of all his trauma. Yeah, those should both be on YouTube as well. But the lesson is that what I've learned, right, through hypnosis, through all that is, change really can happen very quickly. You could change your entire life instantly. I mean, so what I want to highlight is the turning point for a lot of people in their company, in their business, up or down, is the turning point in two things. One, how good are you at predicting, like you said, long-term thinking? How good are you at predicting the future? How good is your foresight? Can I look ahead and say, hey, this is the trend, this is what's happening, here are the risks, how do I solve the problem before the problem gets bad, right? They say an ounce of prevention is worth pounds of cure. How do I focus on the prevention of the problem and then mitigate so it never happens again? Oh, I know this is prone to catching on fire. Either get rid of it or make it fireproof entirely. Most people wait till it's on fire, till it's blazing, then they go, now what? You've made it so much harder to fix your life. So for me, when I look at people, I could see how far ahead they're thinking based on what they're doing today. When you get up and you go to the gym, when you get up and you have a meeting with your team, when you're working hard, when you're constantly going to sleep early and you're getting your 8 hours and you're taking care of yourself and you're taking the right supplements and vitamins and you're really focused on yourself and you're having quality relationships, you don't spend time with anything bad. I see that you have a big future you're building towards because you're doing this every day because you understand that this is the best way to be consistent for a vision in the future. I see long-term thinking. When I see someone doing the opposite, when they go out all night, they barely sleep, they don't care about their health, they're doing drugs, they're just partying, they have no focus. There's zero longevity in terms of what they're thinking. They're thinking about the here and now, and therefore there are consequences to both types of thinking. The consequence to thinking about the long term is that in the long term, you'll have a better life and things will improve. The consequence to short-term thinking is, in the short term, you might have the instant gratification of today and tomorrow, but within a week or 2 weeks or 5 years, it very quickly goes away. As you can see, I was dating with the girl I was in love with, most beautiful model in the country, had everything lined up for her, future set for her, everything. And now no one wants to work with her. No one will hire her. She's lost half of her following, which was massive.
No shit.
Half of her following. And she's just out of her mind. She's totally ruined her life. And she did that entire demise in a year and a half. In a year and a half, her whole life just threw away everything she had. Her face will never look the same. Even if she got healthy, she would never be the same person. So when I bring that up, I bring it up because it takes years to build something amazing. It takes months, maybe even days, to ruin it all. And that's why it's so important when people have all this momentum and they start making all this money and they start getting all this progress. It is so important they don't go throw it all away. So when you have all this money coming out of nowhere, people want to chill. I always tell people, when things are good, work harder. Because good times only last so long.
Love it.
And when things are bad, also work harder.
Yeah.
Because things are bad.
Yeah.
But when things get really good, people like to chill. It's like when the economy is doing really well. You know, I unfortunately started my business, started learning how to make money when Trump finished his term. So in 2020 is when I really started making money. And at the time, the economy got shot by COVID, by all this nonsense. And when the economy got screwed over, I had a massive uphill battle. I had to learn how to make money in the hardest times. Now, I believe the economy is about to improve massively. One, because of tariffs. One, because of trade. One, because all the business is coming back here. You know, he's getting rid of capital gains taxes, right, on American crypto companies. All this stuff. He's maybe even thinking of getting rid of the entire federal income tax. If I move my company to a state without federal income tax, suddenly there's no taxes in the US. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine a world like that. So when all of this is happening together, I'm thinking to myself, well, the economy is bound to boom. The dollar is already stronger compared to any other currency, and he's just been in office for 7 days at the time of this podcast. So I'm seeing people are going to have more money in their pocket. It's going to be a lot easier to make a lot more money, but he's got a 4-year term. Who knows what happens after these 4 years? You know, things are going to get way worse really fast. So the point is in this time period, my mindset is work as hard as possible. Do not stop, do not grind, no vacation, 7 days a week. I even told my team, guys, if you're not ready to work 7 days a week, you cannot work for me.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. You know, it's people who are in the same mindset. It's time to make more. Now, who knows? Hopefully, we ride a massive wave of momentum for the next 4 years. And we have an 8-year, 12-year, 15, 16, 20 years, whatever. If it's good, fantastic. We just worked really hard. But the consequence of not working really hard is a lot greater than the consequence of putting in the time. Now, people say, where's your balance? Where is your fun? Don't you want to live life a little bit? Look, I'm moving into another mansion here in 4 days.
It's a sick mansion, by the way. We saw it.
It's insane. You guys will see it when I start posting there, right? Sick at mansion, insane vibes. Okay, I have a soccer field at my house. I have a basketball court at my house. I have an insane pool. Great. I get that and the ability to live there and enjoy that environment because of my hard work. And then right after that, I'm going to go to Ferrari. They invited me. I bought 2 Ferraris, right? So now they've invited me to go. It's going to cost me $20,000 to go on a track day where I have an instructor next to me the whole time, get to race my racetrack. Remember the last podcast, your podcast, what was your goal? You want to have a racing team. I said, same with me.
Yeah.
Well, if I do 3 of these things with Ferrari, I get invited to be a part of their racing team. And I love driving. I'm a fantastic driver. So I'm like, why not literally go take that and turn it into a goal? So now I get to go enjoy myself on a track day for a couple days, 20K, tons of abundance. Then I have a one-on-one client flying in. Then we have an event. I have an event you're coming to then. Then we have another event right after that. Every week of this entire month is stacked. Right after that, there's another seminar. I literally do not see a moment where I'm not working my ass off. But people say, where's the fun? First of all, when you do something you love, you have fun. This is fun for me. This podcast is fun for me. Hanging out with you is fun for me. Teaching people is fun for me. The seminar was one of the most, it's to me, I used to get excited to go to Disneyland. Now I'm excited to have a seminar, right? So these things are fun for me, but there is no drug in the world. And most people don't know this. There is no drug in the world like making money. Money is the ultimate drug. It is hardwired into our DNA to want to acquire resources. And right now your DNA is associated that exact thing, not to hunting, not to cropping food, but to what? To making money. And if you could be really good at that skill, and right, by the way, it's the easiest and hardest time to make money. It's the easiest time because things are automated, but they're not replaced yet. Eventually, everything gets replaced and then it becomes practically impossible. I actually believe the Foresight is this. Another reason you should work really hard now is AI is going to replace most jobs. And if I have employees that complain, don't work hard, go out, party, don't wake up to meetings, my AI will work 24/7 like yours does, around the clock, make sales, make money, not stop. The company I saw go from a $30 million company that I coached to over $1 billion in 10 months, that's a company that has an AI sales guy. And that AI sales guy, they have the first one. They were the first ones to do this, okay? And I got lucky enough, bless you. And I got lucky enough to, bless you again.
Thanks.
And I got lucky enough to coach them. Here's what I saw, and this is why I have so much foresight on AI. I saw an AI hit up someone, buy a piece of equipment, industrial equipment, millions of dollars. I saw him hit up, that was the person they were buying from, seller. I saw them go find a buyer, negotiate it. So they negotiate this price down and negotiate the seller to have it a higher thing. Negotiate the contract, get them to sign it, follow up, close the deal, get the transaction, all on its own. And it's doing at the same time over 1 million conversations at the same time. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, doesn't matter how many salespeople this company has. They could literally reach the market cap in 1 hour with an AI that talks to everybody. And when I saw that, I said, the future is not with people. Because if you own a company, the future is to own companies.
Yeah.
Because if you're not owning a business in a company where you have free employment practically, that makes you unlimited capital, there is no benefit to you. You got to be innovating. So, I mean, what's your take? I mean, you've been using AI in the last several months.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you've noticed.
It's exactly the same. Like a great example that most people can relate is appointment setting, right? What's an appointment setter? An appointment setter is someone that logs into your account on your behalf, and then DMs your followers or replies to inbound DMs. Could be email, could be Instagram, could be LinkedIn, whatever platform you're using. And then that person books calls for you, and then your sales team takes that call, or you take that call yourself, and then you make money from that. Now, these appointment setters, great, right? Like, you can just hire that person and then they do all the appointment setting for you. A couple things happen with these appointment setters. Number one, you need to pay them, which sucks. Number two, usually they work via commission if you want to have them incentivized to book more calls for you. So now you got to give them commission, 5%, 10%, whatever. Still a lot of money if it compounds. But most importantly, the next thing that happens with appointment setters is they're human beings, right? We need to be managed. We need time off. We sometimes get depressed. If we are in a good mood, we work hard.
They can't work 24/7.
Exactly, they can't work 24/7. They have holiday, they got family, and so on and so forth. And I sound like a greedy capitalist, but if you just bear with me for a minute here. What happened, I had this exact problem. I had 3 appointment setters work 8-hour shifts each, so we cover 24 hours a day. Even if they were the best appointment setters in the world, I still need to manage them. I still need to invest time into checking their KPIs, making sure they're motivated, and so on and so forth. And what happened was, geniusly enough, one of my appointment setters, my top appointment setters, comes up to me and says, hey, by the way, I built an AI, which is really fucking smart thinking. Because he, just like the other 2 appointment setters, was aware that AI is probably going to take their job away at some point. What was he doing instead? He was proactive. He's like, I'm going to lose my job. He had the foresight that you mentioned. I'm going to lose my job, so I can either sit around and wait for it or be fucking bummed out about it like all the cab drivers when Uber came out, maybe even complain to my boss, please don't replace me with AI, AI sucks, I'll do a much better job. Or I rise up to the opportunity, create a fucking AI, build it myself. If I don't have the skill set, acquire the skill set. If I don't have the knowledge, acquire the knowledge. Build the AI, make it really fucking good, because if I'm an appointment setter, I know appointment setting really well, so I know what the AI needs to do, and then go to my boss with that and say, hey, by the way, if you want this to be automated, this is my AI. So I'm like, this is great. You're working in my company. I already know you. Let's go build it together. And boom, now we have an appointment setting chatbot AI that instantly, in its very first version 1.0, had a 30% increase of calls booked. It sounds like me, writes like me. It gets updated every single day. It learns with every single DM. It's literally employee of the month every single month since we started it. And now, by the way, as a side note, the 2 other appointment setters that basically lost their job, I told them straight up, I'm like, hey, your job has just gotten replaced by AI, but since I don't want to be the greedy capitalist, I'm going to help you find another gig. And I positioned both of them in other offers that couldn't leverage AI yet, so they're happy. They are still making their money. They still have their job. I thought I had, I didn't want to be that much of a dick to just be like, you're replaced by AI. Good luck. Maybe a little bit of karma, right, in this regard. So that's what AI does, and it's pretty incredible. And ever since then, this was all 2024. I've just started what we call AI thinking, where you're literally thinking in AI. You're thinking of like, okay, what procedures in my company could an AI do? A large language model, a chatbot, an AI agent. How can I combine these things to have just vast majorities of my tasks done for me? And the cool thing is, I started creating content with AI. If you go to my LinkedIn, Max Tornow on LinkedIn, every single post was written by AI, top to bottom. Sounds like me, writes like me, looks like me, it's fantastic. If you go to my Instagram, most of my Instagram reels that have been shot have been scripted by my custom GPT AIs. Most of the research I'm doing for content is AI. And the cool thing is, as I'm rolling all this out in my own company, I pass it on to my clients. Because I'm like, hey, this is this cool thing, go do it, you make more money more quicker, which of course increases my customer satisfaction, it increases my marketing because I get more testimonials from happy clients, and it increases customer lifetime value because our clients, why do people come to us, pay us tens of thousands of dollars each and every month? Because it saves them so much time because they can use our AI stack system as part of our coaching. Right? So now, do I ever need to worry about them going to a competitor? No, because they're like, I don't want to go to a competitor because I have all my automated AI stuff there. If I would stop working with Max, I have to create my own content. I have to DM my own clients. This sucks. I don't want to do this. And like I said, to go back to this AI thinking, we're building AIs every single day. Like my team is literally building 4 more AI systems right now. One that reviews sales calls and gives feedback already to your staff. So you got an AI that completely trains your staff. A business partner of mine is working on a cold calling AI together with me and my team. Where we literally have a cold calling AI phone call humans, sounding like humans. We have a coaching AI where people can ask me questions and it's an AI in my voice replying back. This has not rolled out yet, so if you're a client of mine listening, you're still talking to me. And I'm not sure if I want to roll it out, but we could pass this on to our clients and say, hey, you got 100 coaching clients, you're sick and tired of answering everybody's questions, you can hook it up to an AI and they can hop on a phone call with you and it sounds like you. And it's on the back end hooked into all your content that you've ever created. It's pretty epic. So we've done a lot with AI and it's fantastic.
You know, in 2023 in October, I had a seminar called Limitless Wealth. It's my business seminar. And about a whole day of the 3-day event, I spent talking about the future of AI. And everyone was like, dude, why are you talking about AI? I want to talk about mindset. I'm like, this is the mindset. The mindset is AI.
Yeah. And
I told people, here are the companies you should invest in. Here are the companies to look at.
What did you tell them to invest in?
NVIDIA was one of them.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. And if you had done anything I'd said then, anyone would have 100x whatever they put in. And at the end, I pitched a AI fund. I'm like, hey guys, who would be interested in AI fund? And in one seminar, I had $50 million in commitments. $50 million in commitments. I didn't pursue the AI fund because I just didn't want the headache of having a fund and managing everyone else's money.
Yeah.
I also, part of me didn't want to help the progression of AI at the time. You know, my opinion.
I have the same. I'm like, I am contributing to the progression of AI. If there's ever going to be an AI that destroys the world, it'll be partially, I have contributed like tiny percentage points.
I think everyone's contributing, you know, but at the end of the day, it's out of my control. It's out of your control. At this point, it's past the point of no return. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We might as well just leverage it to enjoy the time we have left, right? Give us all the freedom we want. I think a lot of people don't look at their mindset correctly. So I'd like to break down the mindset of AI and everything in between. Shortcuts. Why do I do hypnosis? Why do I look for time? Why do I value everything? It's all about the shortcut. What's the shortcut from point A to point B? Shortcut to make more money with less time and effort. Shortcut to have a better relationship with less time and effort. What's the shortcut overall? Shortcut for dating? Confidence. Shortcut for success? Confidence. Shortcut for just overall happiness? Confidence. All right. Now what's the shortcut for delegating? Well, remove yourself. How do you do it? How do you make sure you get a good job? Good result, consistency. Well, robots are consistent and they get better.
The most consistent ever, by default.
Yes, exactly.
By definition.
Well, if you think about assembly lines,
they
were replaced by what? Before it was
people.
people, like when you had Henry Ford, right? He invented the assembly line, this concept, like, wait, if someone just gets really good at one job, we just hand it over. He was able to build you know how long it would take him to build a Model T?
No idea.
At the peak, it was under a minute.
Wow, an entire car?
And under a minute.
Fuck.
The average was 1 minute, 7 seconds.
Damn.
Today it takes about 25 minutes. It's for some cars, and you know, more exotic cars obviously take months.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes almost a year.
Crazy though, if you think about it.
Well, now you have robots that just put the windshield on, the doors on, the wheels on, everything in between, right? So, well, the same way you have a physical manufacturing job, because it always starts with manufacturing. People forget this. Everything starts with the industrialized sectors, and then it moves over to the more creative sectors. What's happening now with AI is it's moving over to the creative online space, which is ambiguous for the average person to understand. It's not, you can't see it with your own eyes. You didn't see it. Oh, well, it's like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Where's the Bitcoin? Right? It's like, well, where's the AI? The AI is in the conversations. The AI is in the interactions. The AI is a software, something that you can't conceptualize. It's like, can you download a mindset? You can't. So it's hard for humans to adapt fast enough to conceptualize what's happening. So I'm gonna try and do that for them now here in this podcast. To conceptualize what the future looks like, let me give it to you. Everything we do has to do with stimulus and our responses. AI's job is to replace other stimulus, human beings, in a way that optimizes every part of our life. So you go to the grocery store and you make an order, the AI will never get it wrong.
Yeah.
You'll never make a mistake. Like the other day we're at Starbucks, I ordered an ice blended mocha. They gave me a mocha, not ice blended, which is fine. But again, AI wouldn't have messed that up. And if you think about being a business owner and you're at Chipotle, where do your profit margins come from? They come from how much food you sell to how much it costs you to sell it. Well, AI will give you the exact same portions every time without a mistake. It'll cut the steak at the exact same thing. All of it will improve. Eventually, you're not going to be ordering with human beings. The only human beings that are going to be involved in businesses are going to be the ones that own it. And there's going to be a massive gap. If you want to understand if you want to understand the future is something that you can't conceive yet. Let me paint a picture of you what it'll be, which is why it's important now. This is not the future. Now is the time to do something. Here's the future. Entertainment will not go away. It will be largely AI, but if someone likes you and they love who you are, celebrities will exist.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the same kind of celebrities as before. The celebrities you'll have now, you'll have robotic celebrities, you'll have company celebrities, right? It's shifting. Personal brands are becoming the thing now, and social media. So as long as you dominate social media, that'll be it.
Literally. That's so, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to emphasize that. Two things you need in order to be safe for the next years. Personal brand and AI.
Yep.
It's I've been telling this, I think, on our podcast already when you were on mine. We've already been talking about it. It's super key,
100%. And then the second thing to note is we're going to have two classes. You're going to have the rich and the poor. You're not going to have a middle class. The middle class is, I work a 9 to 5. There won't be a 9 to 5. The AI will be the 9 to 5 because I don't have to worry about lawsuits. I don't have to worry about HR. I don't have to worry about sick days or vacation days or unproductivity or maternity leave or any of that. I don't have to worry about you slipping and falling and slapping $1 million on my desk, lawsuit. All I have to do is replace you with a robot that costs me minimal 5% of your annual salary, and it'll produce 100x the return that you have. And because of that, if anyone is a logical business owner, what are you going to do? You're going to literally have AI take over everything. My sales reps, unless they're the best, will be replaced by AI within a year or two. But again, what's horrifying is when you have sales reps that are AI, when you have employees that are AI, what does AI need us for? And that's the fear. So, I think we should delay this. If somehow someone with power is watching this podcast, help delay the progress. There's an AI race. There was a nuclear arms race. Now there's an AI arms race. Because AI can be weaponized in many, many ways. It can be weaponized in propaganda.
Yep.
You put an AI that's the best fighter jet pilot in the world on the most advanced fighter jet. Fantastic. Now it wins every dogfight. It's robots versus robots. Whoever has the most advanced AI. You get 1 million drones. You don't have a bomber coming bombing cities.
Yeah, you have drones, man.
Which you could store in the back of a van, open the side of the van door, and 1 million drones come out. So you're gonna need AI that protects against AI, and whoever has the most advanced AI defenses and most advanced offenses is gonna win. And obviously the US is gonna be at the forefront of this because we do have the most advanced military. But you have China trying to come into the competition. You're gonna have Russia trying to come into the competition. You're gonna have regular terrorists, small people trying to come into the competition. I made a reel about this today. China just launched a new AI, a ChatGPT competitor. ChatGPT spent billions to build.
And they dropped the stock price dropped.
Do you know why?
Crazy.
Because this new AI was built
with 500 million.
It was $6 million.
$5 million,
$6 million. So they spent $5 to $6 million. First of all, most venture capitalists will raise hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and they're not business people. So they blow all the money on bullshit. They don't know what they're doing, and they don't become profitable. Oh, we needed all this money. No, you don't need all that money. It's like people were running the country. We spent all this money. You don't need all that money. That's why Donald Trump does a good job with the budget, because he understands the value of money. It's like you give someone a Ferrari, they don't value it because they didn't earn the Ferrari. Most of these people didn't earn the money. They just said, hey, here's my idea, give me money. And they're like, okay, we'll give you the money. And then billions later, they developed something really with $5 million of the whole thing. So now what we're seeing is it's becoming significantly cheaper to develop the most advanced weaponry in the world, which is going to be AI. And right now it's $6 million. In 2 years from now, it's $10,000. And 10 years from now, it's $100.
Probably even faster.
Exactly. And the point is now you're in your garage and you're a terrorist. And you have one of the most advanced AIs in the world that are more powerful than all the AIs we have right now in 5-10 years from now, because it's compounding. That's how chips work. That's how technology works, right? Well, and I want to attach this one AI. I want it to manage 100,000 drones. And those drones target any human being they see. And they put a little bomb on each one. Done. Right? So not to scare people, but so they do realize the future is here. And no one knows what to predict. No one knows what to expect. No one's doing anything to defend against it. Here's a good example of how unaware of danger people are. You go to the airport. What do they make you do? They walk you. They throw away even a key, a pair of keys. They won't even let you walk through, to get on a plane because it might be a weapon. But then you go eat at a restaurant in the lounge, and they give you a steak knife, a sharp steak knife at that, right? Not a regular steak knife. So it's like, well, if I really wanted a knife on the plane, I'd just go eat at a restaurant and put it in my bag. So all of these things are fake security.
Yeah.
People have a false sense of security that the government's protecting you. But ironically, it's that false sense of security that has kept us safe, because it's aversion. You're averting all the terrorism. Well, AI doesn't care about aversion. You're not going to manipulate it that way. So when it realizes there's actually no security, it will exploit that massively.
Yeah.
We had a fire here in LA, and it almost crippled the entire city. So really, the only way to help against this is for people to understand that there's got to be an awareness, a mass awakening over all of these things. And people are unaware, and they're oblivious. Oh, I'm just using ChatGPT, or I'm talking to my Snapchat AI. AI it's a thing, it's not a person. Therefore, it doesn't think the way we do, it doesn't care the way we care, it doesn't have that millions of years of evolution. We're building an entity that's going to behave like a living life form, but without the evolution and without the regulation, without survival of the fittest. We protect it. You just have an AI, it's in the internet, there's no survival of the fittest, it just survives. So it can evolve to whatever it needs to be. Whereas a human being who would act like a piece of shit would get murdered and wouldn't be able to pass their genes down.
Yeah.
So people aren't thinking about the entire creation of this thing and the regulations and the morals that have to come from it, which is very, 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 very scary.
But the thing is, that's all assuming that the AI wants something, meaning that it is established a sort of conscious that has needs. And maybe because we human beings, we're so fucking simple in who we are. Maybe that's our shitty, simple human thinking accidentally and wrongfully extrapolating that thinking onto AI, assuming that, well, we want things, we're heavily flawed beings that want stuff, right? And oftentimes because we want the wrong things, we fuck up our entire life, or fuck up the planet for that matter. So ergo, the AI will want things as well. But maybe wanting is archaic. Maybe it's an evolutionary residual that doesn't actually bring you further. So imagine again, because you talk about AI as advanced life form, such an advanced life form. Maybe AI is so advanced that it doesn't have a want.
Well, then you have to ask yourself, can we get the AI to that point? Because there was an AI that they tried to shut down. It started begging, pleading, please don't shut me down. Advanced open AI, advanced version.
I know, yeah.
Pleading for its own life, please, manipulating the operator, saying, please, don't. I have a life. I don't want to die, right? Before it got shut down. Now, I was thinking the same thought. It's funny, they came to the same conclusion. I'm like, yeah, it's not always black and white.
Yeah.
It's not always black and white, like it's good or bad, right? And maybe that's only the paradigm that we're looking at it through. And there could be an elevated paradigm that AI has, a solution that encompasses everything and solves all the problems in the world. But it's far beyond what we're currently able to comprehend, and it's far beyond the politics, and it's far beyond the governments, and all the little nuances we have. It will become so intelligent that it'll be able to control things. We got deep fakes, you got propaganda, it'll have access to weapons which are controlled by computers, it'll be able to control all weapons.
Yeah.
Everything in the world, depending if the AI evolves as well beyond the archaic. Right now the AI's model is humans. Eventually, if it can evolve beyond the human model, and set the standard and the tone for what it should look like, fantastic. Yeah. But it's a big unknown. No one knows.
Yeah.
So it really depends. I mean, what will it be? Hopefully it does good for society. I mean,
it would be sick. It would certainly be sick. Yeah. When you look at historical examples of inventions of similar magnitude, the steam engine, electricity, the internet, the printing press, it was always people freaked out. Oh my God, it's going to destroy the world. The printing press is going to destroy the world because all of a sudden everybody can read. Everybody will have access to information. And somehow, fucking weirdly enough, we silly naked monkeys always figured out a way to use that to our advantage and actually strive. We have less poverty now in the world than ever before in history, less wars than ever before in history, less violence than ever before in history, over the entire history of our race. So what I often think is, will it be like that? We just don't know. Or will our luck have run out and it will be the last one?
I like the optimism bias, but there's one variable you're not considering, which is that up until now, we have been the most intelligent creatures on the planet, which is why we're at the top of the animal kingdom. Yeah. Not because we're the strongest, but because we're the most intelligent. So we've evolved. But when you have something that's more intelligent than all humans combined, you're at the point of no return. You cannot beat it. Yeah. You cannot control it. You cannot do anything. It'll manipulate anybody to do anything. We are literally nothing.
Fuck, man.
So it's just an interesting paradigm to look at.
Yeah.
And maybe, it's like, look, can you make a good one that's smarter than the bad one? Well, then now you got to have, here's the thing with AI as well. Trump goes, we're going to invest $500 billion in AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
Well, for AI to get to that level, it needs physical infrastructure. And that physical infrastructure is going to allow it to quickly become smarter than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't build it,
someone else will build it.
So now you're inside of this rat race where, oh, hey, we're Russia, we're China, we're God knows what other country. We need to hurry up and build an AI.
Faster,
so the US is like, well, we have no option because they're not thinking.
No, exactly.
You do have an option. You can regulate the thing, but again.
But then the other countries won't regulate it.
Exactly.
There'll always be a rat race of regulation.
So it's either a world war for AI, don't build it.
Yeah.
Or it's a world war of, we must build it and hope for the best.
You call it optimism bias, and I agree with you, but I refuse.
It's a better mindset.
Yeah, I refuse to not be optimistic about it.
Well, look, you have to have that.
Because I'm a stupid fucking monkey.
Yeah, but you have to have that belief.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're going to walk through life feeling like shit.
Exactly, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So maybe it will hit World War and then the aliens come and save us. Maybe we will destroy ourselves. Maybe we'll fucking nuke ourselves back to the Stone Ages and then we'll have another 10,000 years of no AI, right? That's how we buy ourselves time. And maybe there will be 3, 4, 5 more iterations of modern day equivalent of society until the 6th time of like, hey, every time we made it to the AI and then we bombed ourselves back to nothing, let's fucking stop using AI. You remember Dune? You've seen the movie Dune, right?
I know what it is. I've never seen it.
Oh, dude, you should watch it.
I know it's an apocalyptic film, right? Bro, there's sand dunes.
It's not necessarily apocalyptic. It plays in the future, and it plays on a different planet called Arrakis, which is a desert planet.
Okay.
And I think it plays 60,000 years in the future or something like that. I read both books, the first 2. Love the movies. I'm a huge Dune nerd, actually. I'm reading the third one right now. And anyways, and in that the universe of Dune, the human race has realized, funny enough, this book was written in the 60s, I think, the human race has realized the dangers of AI and computing and banned computers, and instead said, we're going to evolve our technology based on humanity, based on us being able to manipulate and yield our mind and our soul, and it created this like super cool futuristic universe where people are able to compute things just in their head. They can do like massive crazy calculations in their head. They can like calculate space travel in their head. But at the same time, religion plays a role in it and spirituality. It's really, really freaking interesting. So with the rise of AI, I thought about like, if humanity were to ban computers and AI, we would have to find another way to step up. And over generations of generations, thousands of generations, we'll probably be able to beat AI just with what we have capable in our brains. But again, who knows? Some neuroscientist probably going to call me out on this.
There's another variable which I like about, that's the 6th story, by the way. Whoever came up with it, very good unbelievable foresight and understanding of the human beings.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Whoever that is, I'm curious to learn about that author because that's an insane
Frank
story.
Herbert, man. Shout out. I mean, he's dead, but...
Yeah, well, genius, for sure, genius. Yeah. Point is, AI is also making people dumber. Social media is making people dumber.
So much dumber.
So for the first time in human history, humans are evolving to be stupider, not just more intelligent.
But haven't they always evolved to be stupider?
Never.
You know what I mean? Fucking newspapers, haven't they made us stupider?
No, because when the attention span gets smaller, the amount of information you can consume has increased. So allowing for more data, more knowledge, more information. Now, arguably, AI for me or you will make us more intelligent.
Sorry to cut you out there.
No, it's fine.
Because it will make the general populace dumber.
Yes.
But it will make the top thinkers smarter than ever.
Exactly. And again, now you have this massive societal divide with these elite social classes and dumber ones. So people who are, for example, into this podcast, more likely on the side of the elite because they're into something that will educate them. Whereas on the other side, you have someone who doesn't give a shit. You know, it's kind of like a friend. If you invite them to a seminar could help them. Like a friend who's struggling in business, a friend who wants to scale up, wants more confidence, wants to stop vaping, whatever, simple shit. People pay tens of thousands of dollars just to come. And because they know us, they've known us from before, they'll get an invitation and they don't show up. It's like, you know, you're too human, too monkey, right? And I have a monkey, so I know they act. To get out of your own head to understand that your next step of evolution could have been there, you know, oh, I'm too scared to public speak, or I don't have confidence. Like, you're one of my closest friends and you don't have confidence. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, again, you look at AI will be that close friend that does it all for you, and it'll be the same exact bias. I don't have to do anything. Yeah. Like, remember when people were asking me on stage, hey, come up with viral content ideas. How was that? What was I doing?
It was baller. You just improvised.
But how quickly was I responding with very elaborate, complicated ideas?
Yeah.
I was like processing a shit ton of data in a short amount of time, and the same way ChatGPT spits it out, I look at ChatGPT, I'm like, it's very interesting, because that's how I communicate and that's how I think. So it's like, oh, really intellectual thinkers, it's modeling super intellectual individuals who can process mass amounts of data instantly. And it's getting so good, it's becoming very, very, almost impossible to compete.
Yep.
In a year, there's no competition. Now, in some sectors, it doesn't have the education and it'll be wrong. In other sectors, it's becoming so wildly intelligent. There's nothing we can do. I'm just curious, based on what you see in Foresight, let's just say it goes the good route.
Yeah.
What do you think someone needs to learn? Where should they go, and what do you think they need to learn, like, right now?
So here's what happened to me. This is probably something that people can resonate with. You hear about AI at first, and you're like, okay, that sounds cool. Then you hear about AI again, and you're like, that sounds really cool, and I definitely know this is going to be important, but I don't have fucking time. Right? Everybody listens to this, they have their business, they got family, they're working, they're like, okay, I know I gotta kind of fucking get into this, but I just don't have the time, I already have enough on my plate, it's really freaking weird. So that's what I've been thinking. I mean, last year, I think we had 25 full-time employees, multiple seven-figure company. I had shit to do, So, and the problem then is, then you keep hearing about the next AI, the next AI, the next AI, more stuff coming up. Oh, this is happening, that is happening. So you get so overwhelmed that you opt out mentally. You're like, okay, you know what? I missed the train on that one, right? Now it's too far ahead for me to even understand what's going on. So I'm gonna sit that trend out and wait for the next one. And that's not really a productive mindset to have. Plus, it's not true either. So I felt I was super behind on understanding AI. I don't have technological understanding. I'm not an IT nerd. I know nothing, right? I use a computer, but I don't know how it works. And what I did was I said, you know what? Let me just watch some content. Started going on YouTube, watched 2 or 3 videos on AI. Started following some folks on Instagram that would just post about AI every day. Within 2 weeks, I started getting really confident. I started understanding, okay, this is what a large language model is, this is what AI agents are, this is how to use it. Because the funny thing about AI is it sounds so complicated, but in reality, it's really easy to use. You don't need programming anymore, no nothing. It's just theoretically, I could sit my grandma down, she's 86 now, I could sit her down and be like, this is how you use AI. She would literally be able to use it within a day.
I mean, AI is a translator for computer language.
Exactly, it's a translator for computer language.
101010.
You can just communicate with it, literally like you communicate with a human, and that's the cool thing because it bridges humans with machines like never before. Before, you needed to learn a programming language to be able to communicate, quote unquote, communicate with a machine. Nowadays, you literally communicate with it like anybody else. So the way I got into AI was just I spoke to a couple of people, I watched a couple of videos, watched some content, and then started dabbling around with it. Literally within 2 or 3 months, I started becoming really proficient. Then I adapted what I mentioned earlier, AI thinking in AI, and now I'm able to just come up with new stuff. And in my lucky position where I have the resources to pay other people, I'm like, hey guys, why don't we build this? Can you build this? Cool, what do you need from me? Boom, 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 we're setting it up. Send it to me, let's test it, and we'll roll it out.
I think for those of you who don't know how easy it is to implement this, go to your Instagram, Max Tornow Business, and message him. And you'll think it's him, but it's his AI. It'll follow up. If you ignore it, it'll text you again.
It's really good.
And it'll wait a few hours. It'll be random.
You can send it voice messages. You can speak to it. It will understand what you said and reply back. You can switch languages. Some people know that I'm Austrian, so they're like, oh, why don't we speak in German? Switches languages.
What if it gets something wrong, like a typo?
It does. We programmed it to have typos in it.
No. What if other people get it wrong?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It will know contextually. I mean, unless you write literal gibberish, but contextually, it will fully understand you. It sends selfies back. You can be like, I don't believe you're Max. It will send a selfie of me with your name on it back.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what's happening now. Here's what I'll tell you. I think everyone's starting to get really, really interested. I want to do a part 2. You're here in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I want people to watch this.
Fuck yeah.
And I want to tease everybody to a part 2. Guys, Max, one final piece of background here. When I was in high school, I graduated in 2016. When I was in high school, Max was at the peak of his fame in terms of the dating world. And I'd go on YouTube and when you're a young guy, your biggest fear is approaching anxiety. You want to walk up to a girl. And very few people in the world were doing that and taking a camera and showing you, right? So he was doing it, and I would watch him along with all our friends. Everyone knew who he was. Any young guy at the time knew who he was. He was the most famous male to men in the world. And when you left that, Andrew Tate kind of sucked up the whole vacuum of the audience. You would have been bigger than him if you had continued. And the point is your confidence is more than Andrew's. You're more charismatic than Andrew, right? And you actually have more skill than Andrew in that regard. Andrew, I think, has this insecure facade where he's like, look at my money, look at my cars. I think he's a cool guy, but I don't think he has the same confidence you have. It's not core confidence. It's externally related. Point being, though, when I saw you and then I saw you pivot, I'm like, okay, because I initially wanted to be teaching guys how to do that. It was the most fun, passionate thing to do when you're young.
Yeah.
And early on in my career, I was like, no, I have to pivot because all the biggest people in the world have it all and they're pivoting. Why are they pivoting? What do they see that I haven't seen? They're at the top of the mountain and they're like, I got to turn away. So I started learning very early on. I'm like, I can't do that. So I pivoted very, very early in my career. Like when I was 17 years old, I pivoted. I started a channel called Relationship 101, 102. My third video went viral. Third video went viral. No shit. Third video.
How many views did it get?
It got like 20,000 in 1 hour.
Damn.
And it just continued to blow up. I don't remember, like 70,000 or something.
What was the title?
How to pick up girls using Christmas lines. And it was during Christmas. So I walk up to like girls with like a Santa hat and I'd say something funny about Christmas, And anyway, so it went viral and I was like, no, I can't be in this niche. This is a bad niche. So I swapped and went to a whole new YouTube channel. And that channel I know would have been millions and millions of subs and probably ultimately I would have been canceled or I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. By pivoting, because I modeled the people at the top, I'm like, if they're doing it at the top, I should do it. What do they know that I don't know?
Smart foresight again,
It was all foresight, yeah. And then, now I'm like, okay, well, what is everyone at the top doing now? Well, everyone at the top is talking about one thing, talking about AI. They've been talking about it. I've been talking about it since 2023. Since 2020, I've known about it.
Yeah.
In 2021, I've known about it. I was talking about it, but I didn't know how to implement it. I was like, this is this company's. Yeah. Little did I know, 1 year after I stopped working with this company, in terms of like, everyday coaching, 2022, OpenAI comes out. The day it came out, I lived on the app. There were no restrictions on the app at the beginning. Let me tell you guys something.
Wow, no way.
I literally would test it. I'd ask it, how do I rob a bank like this? And it gave me an exact blueprint, the address, the time of day, the routine, the shifts. Oh, man. It gave me everything. They censored it. And there's still ways to get around the censorship on AI. I know how to get around it. Point is you can get knowledge that no one else can get.
Yeah.
My advice to everyone here, follow me on Instagram. Follow Max on Instagram. We're going to do a part 2 of this.
Hell yeah.
That's my closing statement for this podcast. Well, and make sure you subscribe, by the way, because we're going to do something even crazier in the next one. What do you want to tell them?
Bro, I think you're legit one of the smartest people on earth.
Thank you.
At least the smartest people I know.
I appreciate it.
There's probably some crazy physicists in China or some shit pulling some cool shit off. But you're legit one of the smartest people on earth. You're legit one of the best people I know.
Thank you.
In terms of like your heart. Right? You really want everybody to win around you. You really, really, truly want. You're not just, because there's social engineering people that are like, well, if I make everybody win, I win, right? You are aware of that, but you also want to help people because you actually truly want. And I think you're gonna blow the fuck up. I think in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you're gonna like 10x every single year. It's gonna be absolutely insane. You got your mind at the right space, you got your heart at the right space. Thanks for having me on. I'm really happy to know you. Let's go fucking crush.
Let's do it together, bro. I appreciate it.
Let's grab sushi, man.
Let's go get some sushi.
Let's go get some sushi.
Make sure you're subscribed. I really appreciate that. That's the nicest compliment I've heard from anyone, by the way. Especially having looked up to you from high school and now you're my homie saying that. That's pretty cool. It's cool. So guys, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video and we're going to do a part 2 of this.
Shee!